guys, welcome back to another ASMR video here at Prodigy Whispers. Today we got the $5 value meal from McDonald's, which is, I got the hot and spicy with french fries and chicken nuggets. And then on the side I have a Dr. Pepper here. Today I wanted to do a bit of a story time. I wanted to do a story time on it's recent but not that recent, and it's story time on the time I got fired. Yeah, so let's get started. Before I start, let me do a little background. So let me do a little backstory. So months ago, I had gotten a notice from my job saying that we were gonna get laid off because our department was closing and there wasn't a need for it anymore. So during that time, I started panicking and looking for jobs and applying for similar jobs, and I happened to find one that was exactly what I was doing, just a bit different. So for those who don't know, in my job that I had before the one I got fired, I was working as a BDC agent for dealerships. So I was working as a BDC agent for dealerships, and yeah, so it was like a centralized call center, and so we were told we were gonna get laid off, and okay, so I started applying. I applied to this company. I'm not gonna say the name, but I had applied to this company because based on the description, they were doing the same thing that I was already doing, like reaching out to customers, setting appointments, asking them to come in to look at vehicles. The only difference is that on this job, we were setting up appointments for customers to come in and sell us their vehicle. We were buying their vehicle. So the way the interview process works, I asked questions, I did all that. They liked me. They were like, okay, the way our pay works is your job is to set appointments, and call customers. They're like, your job is to call customers on inquiries they submitted through Kelly Blue Book and let them know to come in, that we'll do more for their vehicle, we'll pay more, and to bring it in. Okay, I was like, okay, that sounds fair enough. And they're like, yeah, and your bonus comes from you buying vehicles from them. And that was the first red flag that I should have, because but like I was desperate for a job, but that was the first red flag, because I'm like, okay, so my bonus depends on someone else's job, because my job was strictly just calling people. I wasn't looking at the vehicle, I wasn't interacting with customers, only on the phone. So I was like, oh, 20 cars, all I have to do is buy 20 cars, that's easy. You know, at my current job, I was making appointments and people were buying, and I was doing a good job. Like, I was making senior tiers, almost hitting elite status. You know, I knew how to do the job. process, they also had told me that it was $100 per each car you sold, each car you bought. Sorry. I was like, perfect. Even if I don't get 20, I'll still get paid for more for the ones I did buy. So they liked the way they liked me during the interview. I got a call. They're like, yeah, when can you start? Can you start in a week? And I let them know. I was like, oh no, like I still have to give like my 2 weeks notice to like my boss and stuff. So I gave my 2 weeks notice. I started in 2 weeks. I started 2 weeks, and the first day there was no onboarding, no nothing. So we went straight into shadowing someone. So I sat down with someone, started shadowing them, getting to know the system, like the process and everything. And I even asked the guy that I was shadowing, I was like, hey, like what if we don't hit our 20? Do we still get paid for the vehicles that we did buy? And he was like, yeah, like I currently have 7, that means I'll get 700, this and this and that. I was like, oh, perfect, that sounds amazing, you know? Also, mind you, when I interviewed, they also told me I would have 2 Saturdays off and 2 Saturdays I would have to work. So I was like, oh great, like I was already doing that at my old job, like 1 Saturday on, 1 Saturday off. So I get there, training. The lady comes around and she's like, okay, what Saturdays do you want? So I'm giving her the 2 Saturdays I want. And she looks at me and she's like, that's 2 Saturdays. And I'm like, yeah, I was told that we were given 2 Saturdays a month. And she's like, no, you only get 1 Saturday off. And I'm like, oh, so that should have been the second red flag. But I was cool with it. I was like, you know what, that's fine. The car dealership, the car business, like, you have to be there basically every Saturday. So that was fine. So then I went back to shadowing. The first day, you know, the first days are always short. So they let us leave early. Then the second day, they're like, alright, well, you're all set to go. Like, you're on your own now. I was like, oh, what the heck? So, basically, it was like mid-month, like we got there like mid-March, you know? So, we got there like mid-March. We saw that everyone was making their goal, you know? Everyone was making their goal. Everyone was hitting their goal, so we were like, oh, this is easy. I ended the month with 5 cars, which was in the span of 2 weeks, and I was like, okay, like I wasn't getting dates because I'm new. I was getting maybe like 1 or 2 a day or so. During that first month, a guy quit. And yeah, so the second month rolls around, which is April. I had to leave out of town the first week, but I left with 6 cars that I had purchased. So I was like, oh, perfect. I only need 14 the rest of the month to get to before the end of the month. So one thing about this job, it's hard to convince people to sell their vehicles. In total, I brought 40 people into our showroom, and I only bought 14 that month. So I was like, oh, okay. So that was my first official month being there. So I'm trying to remember like everything that happened because it was a lot. Also, there wasn't a set schedule. Like one day I would go in from 8 to 5, and then the next day I would go in from 10 to 7, and it would alternate like that. So yeah, during the month of April, another person quit because they hadn't reached their goal of hitting 20 cars. And this is during the end of March and the beginning of April is where I found out that in order to get your bonus or get paid for those vehicles that you purchased, you had to reach 20. Like that was the minimum for you to get paid for those cars, which was out of our control because we were only setting up appointments for people to come in, and it was up to the appraiser to buy those vehicles from that person. So anyways, the end of April finishes. I finished with 14 cars my first month, and I'm like, you know what, maybe it was because I took a weekend off in April. It slowed me down. I was struggling. Maybe May would be better. So I started with a positive attitude in May, and the first day of May I get a write-up because I didn't buy 20 vehicles my first month, and I don't know how that boosts morale for you to start fresh like the next month if you're automatically getting a write-up, you know. But anyways, all in all, the month of April, the company did bad when it comes to buying vehicles, and instead of, sorry, my phone's about to die, but instead of going up when it came to revenue, they were going back down. So the second week of May, they fired my manager, and we didn't get one until the time I left. So May rolled around, you know, I'm putting in that work, trying to get to my 20, because I'm trying to get that $2,000 bonus and even more. So, you know, I'm getting people in. No one's buying. So, I remember I got to 7 buys, like, mid-month, and everyone was struggling on the team as well. Like, people weren't even reaching their 20 yet, and we had like 2 weeks left. So I got to 7, and I stayed at 7 the whole month. And I remember the last week I was pushing, and Monday and Tuesday combined, I brought in 13 people into the showroom that were ready to sell their cars. And guess how many we bought? You guessed it, 0 cars. I bought 0 out of 13 people that showed up. I bought 0 cars. And I was so mad and so disappointed because these were people I had already been talking to like the whole month. Like they were just ready to come in, sign their paperwork, get the check, and be done with it. And mind you, during this time, I was just saying like, hey, we want to look at your vehicle, we want to buy it. Like, I wasn't telling him that we could do more than what Kelly Blue Book was offering. Like, I was just getting him in to see what we can buy. apply for. So, boom, I end the month with 7 cars in total. I had made 70 appointments that whole month. That whole month I made 70 appointments. And I believe 42 showed up out of the 70. And out of those 42, only 7, we had only about 7 vehicles from those people. And throughout the whole time, the management team, because my manager had left, so the other manager had to step in. During that time, the manager was like, oh, it's probably you, it's probably the way you're working. I remember he said this once, he's like, you have to tell yourself you're not good enough in order for you to challenge yourself. And I was like, what kind of messed up thing is that to say to someone? Like, tell yourself you're not good enough in order for you to challenge yourself. Like, that's crazy to me. So anyways, I'm like, you know what, I gotta lock in, I gotta, this little check that I'm getting every 2 weeks is in, like, paying my bills, like, I'm barely covering. So, I logged in, I got my first buy the first day of June, and then I got my second buy, I believe, like, 2 days after that, and I kept bringing people in. So, I remember June 6th, I get pulled into the office, and I'm like, oh, okay. And he tells me that I got fired because it had been 3 months, 3 full months, and I hadn't made my 20 Monday. Mind you, I started in March, mid-March, so April would have been my first month, and May would have been my second full month, meaning that the rest of June would have been my full 3 months. But no, he was like, yeah, after like 3 full months, you didn't like make your 20, so we gotta let you go. Like, we like you and all, you bring positivity to our office and all that, but I'm sorry, man. Mind you, also, the guy that started with me, he had not made his 20 like for 3 months either, and they kept him. They literally kept him. And I was like, what the heck? But yeah, they kept him. And what was I gonna say? Oh, and before this I got fired, I literally got into an argument with one of the appraisers because they had wrote in the notes that they quoted a customer $27,000 for their vehicle. So when the customer called me to ask how much they would get paid for it, I let them know, hey, the person that appraised it offered $27K for it. And she was like, oh great, like, you know what, actually I'm gonna go with y'all. I'm gonna I'll go ahead and sell it. So she comes into the showroom, and the appraiser calls me, and he's like, why did he promise the customer 27 when I had offered her 26.5? And I was like, because it says it in the notes. And I had showed this notes to everyone on my team because I thought I was tripping. So I go back, and I was gonna screenshot where it said 27K, and they changed it. They since they had manager access, they went ahead and changed it from 27 to 26.5, and they had told our that was our manager at the time, that, and I had to go into his office and explain, and that was like a whole problem. And ever since then, like, since that happened, that's where like they stopped buying vehicles whenever it was my customers, because ain't no way that I bring in total 43 people and we only buy 7 cars from them. But yeah, so yeah, that happened. And then a week after that whole problem happened, that's when my manager was like, hey, we gotta talk, meet me in my office. I go to his office. He's like, sorry man, we're gonna have to let you go. All in all, that place was really bad. I was depressed every day, every day. And it was far, and my coworkers still, well, my ex-coworkers still text me here and there saying like, man, like, do you know of any place that's hiring? We're trying to leave. Like, I literally have proof of all my ex-coworkers texting me and like literally saying like, it's like it feels like, I don't know if you've ever seen American Horror Story, like the hotel season, like that's how it feels, like you're trapped in there like a murder house type of thing. But yeah, all in all, I'm glad that I got out of there. I'm currently unemployed, but I start my new job at the end of this month. So yeah, I've been a bit bored, but I've been doing like side jobs on the side to like get money and stuff. But yeah, I hope you like the story time. I know it was like all over the place. I think for the next story time, I'm just gonna write it down on like my laptop or my iPad and just read bulletin by bulletin. But let me know if you like this story time, and I'll keep going. If you do, make sure to comment, give a like, and thank you so much again. Thank you again for 1,158 subscribers, I believe. You don't know how much it means to me, and I hope to keep growing with y'all here. And I hope you have a nice night. May each one of you that sees this towards the end